Hello and welcome to another edition of Tips Time with Josh Klyn. It has been a while actually. Um, I had to move cities and change jobs, and I've been doing an hour commute, so bear with me here as I'm kind of getting things rolling again with the tips. But I haven't really been producing that much, that's kind of why. But now that things are a bit more consistent in my life, I'm back to it. So, learning lots, and as always, looking forward to sharing a weekly tip for producing electronic music. Now, this tip actually is kind of relatable to really anyone that's producing art, and I'm going to talk about writer's block. Um, I'll first talk about things you can do to prevent writer's block. Um, I'll quickly go over writer's block and what that is, and then I'll go over something in Ableton that I've found that really helps me get past writer's block. So, firstly, writer's block is something that anyone that is producing art, let it be at a consistent level too, uh, anyone that is producing art is going to come across writer's block at some point. It's just when you have to produce art in demand, it can definitely make you more susceptible to it. So some of the things that I do right off the bat is I first off, you know, you really our habits are really attached to our environment. So just to kind of explain that, when someone, let's say when someone every time before they go to bed, before they go to sleep, they lay in bed for 20 minutes, then they use their phone and they browse. If you laid in your bed at some other point during the day, you probably were looking around for your phone because that's just what you do naturally in that situation, in that environment. So it's important to understand those habits and how they're connected to our environment. So creating a habit um, that is something that promotes a behavior or a habit that's going to benefit you. So for me, at least, when I'm in my room and I'm going to start working on music, I always turn off my main light and I have more of a softer light that is on. So that way my room's just dimmed a bit. And then I always have my phone downstairs on the table so I just try and remove the distractions. So removing distractions, not having them within arm's reach. Some people, you could just silence your phone, throw it on your bed, whatever. Other people have the luxury of maybe going downstairs to a music studio, where they can then completely isolate and just know that when they're down there, they can work on it. But that's kind of the principle, and you can do that wherever. So you can make your environment, make that your go to spot. And that way, when you sit down, when you have that environment and you have that stability of every time you work on music, you have this, your brain automatically gets into that state of flow faster because you know once you sit down, okay, time to work on music. At least that's how it is for me when I have everything set up. I find that I'm less likely to get distracted, um, and that I more readily get into that state of flow where I'm able to, enter that creative process, right? Um, so that's some quick things about preventing it. In terms of what to do when it hits, um, I first off I find that inspiration is big for me. I'll find things like and I'll talk about this just for a sec. I find things like uh, tracks like a reference track that I've always really loved or that I'm passionate about. I'll listen to that track and I won't just think about, oh, what are the sounds in this track that I like. I'll think about more, what are the concepts in this track? What is it about the sounds that I really like? Because understanding the conceptual side of it, what it is actually structurally about the song that I like, that gives me inspiration on maybe I can try doing something like that or addressing those types of concepts in this track that I'm going to start now. Okay, so next is something more Ableton based, and I'm just going to show you what I did here quickly. Um, what we'll do here, we're just going to get rid of this. Okay, so I just brought up a regular instance of Ableton, and I put in my 808, drum kit, insert a MIDI track, and then here we're just going to make like a basic beat, okay? Just one sec. I have to turn up the volume on my headset so I can hear what I'm doing in Ableton here. So I'm just going to make something a bit consistent, like typical dance floor electronic music. I just don't like that at all. Okay, and at this point we just kind of have a pretty basic track happening, but something that is really helpful is the randomization in Ableton when you are working in a MIDI track. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this rim shot and drag that across, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you here. So we have this envelope and we have our chance parameter and we have our velocity parameter. Now velocity is the strength at which you're hitting that drum, or it's really just volume, perceived volume in electronic music, but it gives the perception that you're hitting that drum harder. So here, we have like a 60% velocity. So we're hitting this rim shot with 60% of the volume that we normally would. But what you can do with these parameters is I'm going to select the rim shot and I'm going to have just velocity selected here, not chance. The rim shot, and I'm going to randomize it. Okay, so now let's listen. And then you can adjust this as you go. So it can be kind of a standpoint, like a Kickstarter to getting into that creative process. Right, so just with the randomization, it already kind of gives it a little bit more swing, a little more of that human touch to it, so it doesn't sound as robotic, right? You can do the exact same thing with chance, which is another parameter, and we would select that. And chance is literally what it sounds like. It's the chance at which this is going to hit. So if we have this at 0%, it's not going to hit this one. If I had all of these down, right? So all these aren't going to hit. So you can also randomize your chance. And then you have even more variation. And what you can do with that is you can use the randomization to maybe get you 4 bars, 2 bars worth of variation, and then you can have a consistent loop of that. So it's a good way of kind of blending the human touch, but having a consistent basis, which electronic dance music is so predicated on. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope that helps. Please subscribe if you'd like, and I will see you all next week with my next weekly tip. See you later.